Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into one of the most powerful origin stories ever told, coming straight out of the second chapter of Exodus. And you know, this whole thing kicks off with a single quiet act of defiance against a massive empire.
So how does a baby in a basket end up becoming a nation's liberator? That's the huge question, right? We're going to dive right in and explore this unbelievable story. I mean, it's all about survival, a crisis of identity, and then exile. And all of it, every single piece, sets the stage for this monumental epic. So our story kicks off in a pretty dark place. We're talking about a time of intense oppression. Pharaoh has handed down this absolutely brutal decree. Every single newborn Hebrew boy has to be thrown into the Nile. It's a death sentence. And in this climate of just pure terror, one mother decides, nope, she's not going to do it.
Okay, so for 3 months, she manages to hide him. 3 months. But you can only do that for so long, right? So when she just can't hide him anymore, she comes up with this plan that is, well, it's both desperate and completely brilliant. She weaves this little basket out of papyrus, waterproofs it, and basically builds a tiny little ark for him. She takes the very river that was supposed to be his grave and turns it into his only chance for survival. And all the while, his big sister is watching from the reeds just to see what's going to happen.
And this is where the tension just goes through the roof. I mean, can you imagine? The basket drifts right into the path of, you guessed it, Egyptian royalty. The baby's entire fate, his whole life, is now in the hands of the daughter of the very man who ordered him to be killed. It's an unbelievable moment.
So what she does next is absolutely pivotal. She sees the baby and says, this is one of the Hebrew babies. She knows exactly what this means. This child is supposed to be dead, according to her own father's law. But instead of enforcing that decree, the text says she felt pity. Think about that. One single moment of compassion from inside the very heart of the power structure. It's a quiet act of rebellion, really, and it changes everything. Literally, the entire course of history pivots on this one decision.
And then it gets even crazier. In this amazing twist of irony, the baby's sister, who's been watching this whole time, steps out and says, hey, should I go get one of the Hebrew women to nurse him for you? And Pharaoh's daughter says, yes. The result? His own mother gets hired to be his nurse. She's literally paid by the state with Pharaoh's own money to raise her own son, all while he's living under the protection of the royal palace. You just can't make this stuff up.
Okay, so this absolutely incredible rescue story sets the stage for the central conflict of Moses' entire young life, his divided identity. On one hand, he's raised as a prince of Egypt. He's the son of Pharaoh's daughter, he has an Egyptian name, he has all the privilege you can imagine. But he knows he's a Hebrew by birth.
And this slide just lays it all out, right? You see his whole internal struggle right here. In one column, Prince of Egypt. He became her son. That's a life of power and comfort. But then you look at the other column, son of Hebrews. As he gets older, he went out to where his own people were and saw their suffering. He's literally a man torn between two worlds that just cannot coexist. He's part of the system that's oppressing his own family.
So, you know this kind of internal conflict can't just simmer forever, right? It's like a ticking time bomb. And it's one thing to know in an abstract way that your people are suffering. It is a completely different thing to see it, up close and personal.
And this is that moment. The moment where the abstract idea of slavery becomes a brutal, violent reality right in front of him. He sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew. And the text is really specific here, one of his own people. All of a sudden, it's not political, it's personal.
And what he does next, it's not just a spontaneous burst of rage. Notice the detail here. He looks this way and that. He's checking to see if anyone is watching. This is a calculated decision. He's making a conscious choice.
And then he killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. Just like that. In a single violent act, Moses has made his choice. He has picked a side. And in doing so, he has crossed a line that he can never, ever uncross. He's not a prince observing injustice anymore. He's a killer. He's a fugitive.
He probably thought he got away with it, but his secret doesn't stay secret for long. The very next day, he sees two Hebrews fighting and he tries to intervene, play the peacemaker. But one of them just turns on him and says, who made you ruler over us? Are you going to kill me like you killed that Egyptian? And wow, that must have been a gut punch. The very people he was trying to defend don't see him as a hero. They see him as a threat.
And that's it. The word gets out. It reaches Pharaoh, who now wants Moses dead. So the prince of Egypt,
The man who had everything has to run for his life. He leaves it all behind. The palace, the power, his whole identity. He's a fugitive.
So his life takes another one of these huge, dramatic turns. He flees all the way to a place called Midian, and his old life as a prince is completely gone. Now he's basically a nomad. He ends up at a well, and what do you know? He finds himself in another situation where he has to rescue someone. This time he defends 7 sisters from some shepherds, and because of that, he's welcomed into their family. He ends up marrying one of them, Zipporah, and he starts a completely new life.
And when he and Zipporah have a son, he names him Gershom. The reason why is so revealing. He says, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." Think about that. Even here, with a new family, a new life, he's still defined by what he's lost. He doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere. He's in exile, totally cut off from both his Egyptian past and his Hebrew roots. But here's where the story does something really interesting. While Moses is off in the wilderness building this quiet new life, the camera, so to speak, just snaps away from him. It pulls back and throws us right back into the fire, back to the escalating crisis in Egypt.
See, while Moses was away, years and years went by. The old Pharaoh died, a new one took his place, and for the Hebrews, things didn't get better. They got worse. The suffering intensified. And the chapter ends not on Moses the fugitive shepherd, but on the sound of his people groaning under their slavery. And then we get this line, this crucial line, that God heard them. Their cries didn't just disappear into the air, they were heard.
And that's the cliffhanger. That's where this chapter leaves us. You've got this man in exile, a former prince who's now a shepherd, totally haunted by his past. You've got an entire nation in chains, at their absolute breaking point. And you have this first quiet hint that something bigger is about to happen. A promise is about to be remembered. So the question is, what happens next? How does this broken down fugitive become the answer to a nation's prayer? The stage is officially set.